didn't have it either.
Shit, I didn't realize that Elmwood Park.
Somebody just told me too the other day that they don't have it. They have half days because of the fucking heat, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Well,
like,
a friend of mine who teaches in Patterson, she said that they sent the kids home because it was hot. And then Holy Spirit down here, they sent the kids home today and tomorrow because it's too hot. I'm pretty sure they have air conditioning. I don't know. It's all weird, but
yeah.
But we were going outside for like 15, 20 minutes and then coming back into the AC. So, but it was warm today, man. It was muggy as shit.
Yesterday it was awful. Oh no,
it was hard to breathe.
Tuesday was awful. Tuesday was
just like even hard to breathe. Like it's just weird. But anyway. All right,
it's supposed to cool off now, right?
Tomorrow will be a little bit cooler, and then Saturday definitely more like 80, 81, so a little more proper. Excuse me. College football review, and then the college football preview. So the way I set both of those up on my end is like things that caught my eye, but you go through yours first. I'll cross out anything that you already went over, and then if there's extra games, I'll just bring those up.
Yeah, that's what we usually do in NFL too.
Yeah. So then we have our NFC West.
Yep.
And then we'll do our week 1 preview. So same thing there. I have games that I'm interested in, and then as you say them, I'll cross them off, and if I have any extras, we'll add.
Same, perfect.
We have our bets, and then Scotty Trivia.
Yep, that's it.
All right, let's fire this mofo up.
You should. Trivia's going to be fun today.
Always is. That's not some big surprise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the music roll from the bets. We'll just keep that.
Look who's back.
Who we got? Dean Dom Sports in the house.
I thought you got kidnapped, Dean. What the fuck?
All right, here we go. Let me fire this thing here. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Colasano, joined as always by the man behind all the numbers, Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome back to school.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome.
You look tired. You look a little run down.
It's just getting up and going to work. The get up time really hasn't changed, but it's like the getting up and then going as opposed to just sitting around and maybe taking another nap or something like that.
Yeah, it changes.
Popping a seltzer or something. Now you actually have to go to work.
Yeah. Summer goes fast.
It does. I tell you what. Again, I try not to complain, but 2 months doesn't feel like 2 months. But anyway, listen, best thing that happened to us is that college football started. So why don't we not waste any friggin' time here and let's talk about some of the games because I tell you what, we got some incredible stories. I don't know how great the games were, but we got some incredible stories for a week 1 after waiting all winter for football. So why don't we get right into that and talk about some of these games that happened?
Well, let's start off with I was going to start off with the Thursday night games, but it's hard to ignore it. Colorado goes to TCU, and prime time does it right out of the gate.
You know what's so funny about you even saying that is that every headline Sunday and Monday was about Deion Sanders.
I know.
You know what I mean? And listen, obviously he's a big part of why this happened, right? They got rid of so many players. It's overestimated who he got rid of and who left on their own. I think he got rid of 25 players, but I think another 40 left. So
yeah,
they're very thin, but dude, obviously say what you want. They're very talented. So Shedeur, the quarterback, his son, played really well. I mean, how could you look? You couldn't look much better than he looked. Good decision making, putting the ball on a point. I mean, he looked really, really good. Got 2-way players. You basically got Deion Sanders right here on the Buffaloes.
160 snaps.
Incredible, dude. Incredible.
Travis Hunter.
So, it was a lot of fun. It was just fun to watch. And you know what? You could say what you want. I don't know how good a coach he is. He's obviously a pretty good recruiter. But whatever you want to say, Deion Sanders brings excitement anywhere he goes. It just is what it is, man. If ever there was a name that was apropos, it's prime time.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Florida and Nebraska off to familiar starts and good.
Not much different. Not much has changed there. I actually think it was a worse showing for Florida.
Oh, I agree totally.
They were never in that game, and Rising wasn't even starting. Starting quarterback for Utah wasn't even starting.
Yep,
He didn't even play.
Yep.
And you were never in that game. They looked like a third-tier SEC team. Like, they looked like Vanderbilt or Kentucky. Kentucky's a better football program than Florida right now. Like,
South Carolina.
Yes, they're below them too. And so I don't know what to say there. Nebraska, I don't know. I'm not ready to bury them just yet.
No, I'm not either.
I like Matt Rule. I think he's a good coach. They played very good friggin' defense against a team that can score, against a team that's got some talent. Minnesota can run the ball. Like, they played good defense.
Their offense still looks bad. Their quarterback moves the ball, but then he makes the bad decisions and
some horrible decisions.
And then late in the game
bad
too, dude. You get this game in overtime, and then he throws a pick with a minute something to go.
Bad.
I don't know, man. It just feels like there's a black cloud around Nebraska at this point. It's just it's ugly, man.
Which is interesting that you put those two games back to back, because we have Colorado versus Nebraska this week in Colorado. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
The top 10 basically cruise, except for a couple teams we're going to hit on in a minute: Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State.
Well, let me just say, Ohio State was no cruise by any stretch.
No cruise.
In fact, I texted you at one point during that game. I think it was only 10-3 at that point.
Yeah.
I think they ended up winning 20-3.
Yeah, 20, something like that.
That one.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Listen, I don't give a shit. But if you're an Ohio State fan, you should be a little concerned. Now, if there's anything that should give you hope, is that Ryan Day's a good offensive coach. Ohio State always has athletes. Can they fix that side of the ball? My guess is, at least to some degree, yes. But this is the first time in as long as I can remember that they're struggling on offense. Ow. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you this. Not a good sign. Marvin Harrison only had 5 targets.
5 targets and for like 30 yards. Or like, I think he had like 30 yards receiving.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
To me, that's totally on the quarterback play.
Well, that's the problem.
Obviously, that's not your
game. And they're not used to that, having that quarterback problem.
Right. So this is what I mean by, like, have some faith in Ryan Day. I mean, I know you hope they crash and burn, but I'm saying, like,
listen, I hope Marvin gets sick and wants to sit out the rest of the year.
Absolutely.
Be my best, dude. Stay healthy for the draft, bro.
But if you're a Buckeyes fan, like, have some faith right now that your coach is, if they can fix any side of the ball, it's this side. It's the other side of the ball against teams that, run the football that you've been worried about over the last few years. So, especially against Michigan. So, but there should be some concern there. It's not like Indiana is the stiffest competition, especially first week of the season.
Right. Your Florida State Noles, impressive. Were they more good, or was LSU more bad?
So what I took away from that game is that, and I don't say this, I'm surprised that I'm about to say this. Brian Kelly got outcoached in the second half of that game.
Oh,
Florida State,
and then they quit on him too. It looked like
absolutely. Florida State made some adjustments, and LSU did not. And LSU did not adjust to those Florida State adjustments. And I'm shocked to say that, because I think Brian Kelly's one of the best coaches in the country. I really genuinely do. He's an excellent recruiter, but he's also a fantastic coach. And he's one of those guys that, like, kind of holds kids to standards. And I didn't see that. I think Florida State is really close to the type of team you used to see. Explosive athletes on offense with a good quarterback and a good running game. People always think they used to throw the shit out of the ball. They were as balanced a team as there was in college football. It's a good running game, play action pass, but they had explosive wide receivers that made you think that they could.
Dexter Carter worked on Travis.
Absolutely.
Amply. Yep.
And you always had speed on defense. And that was the one thing, if you want to take anything away from this game, because I'm not going to suddenly think Brian Kelly can't coach. Florida State made LSU look slow. And when's the last time you could say anybody did that?
They did.
When's the last time? Alabama doesn't make LSU look slow.
But that's what I mean. First half, they were fine. Second half, they got down and they quit. And listen, Brian Kelly, he does hold his guys accountable. But since he's been at LSU, he's been a little bit of a different guy.
Do you think it comes from that fake accent? Like,
I tell you, I don't know.
He wasn't believable from the beginning.
I don't know if it's related, but I think.
Like, they haven't bought in, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And I think he was so excited to get the pressure out of Notre Dame. And how hard it is to get the kids in there and trying to recruit 5-star guys. Now I think he's kind of let loose because he's got athletes, but now I think he's lost a little bit of discipline now. Because I don't know,
don't
man.
know.
It seems a little off.
It's funny because you had two potential Heisman Trophy candidates, we'll say, Heisman hopefuls,
Travis
quarterbacks on the field. One way outshined the other. Obviously, the kid from Florida State, Travis, totally outshined them. So it was a really good game. I mean, that game was 17-14 LSU at the half.
I know. That's why it got weird, man.
So it was a fun game to watch. Again, I wouldn't write off LSU, but
they have no room for error now. I'm
sure we're going to get to another game of why Florida State has got to be really licking their chops right now.
Well, one unlikable coach to another. Dabo Swinney, the Clemson
you don't like
Tigers.
Him?
I didn't used to have a problem with him. Now I do all his the NIL whininess, the recruiting whininess,
that's the word.
The division confidence.
He's getting a little whiny now that he's now. It was funny when he was winning championships.
When he had two generational quarterbacks. Yeah, nice, Dabo, right?
He was Mr. like quote the Bible, but now he hates everybody and everything.
Yeah, he's a little
Isn't that funny?
A little cranky. There's one video I saw the quarterback coming off the field and didn't slap his hand. I don't know what that's about, but like.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, Duke upset Clemson on Monday night. And, oh, by the way, they didn't just upset him. They friggin' shit on him, man. They trashed him. I think it was the score 28-7?
28-7.
That's just Clemson. That doesn't happen. So, and maybe should have some hope for Duke. Let's just remember 2 years ago, I think they won 2 or 3 games and they fired Cutcliffe. They got a new coach. They won 6 games last year, went to a bowl game. Clearly they're improved this year. I don't care how bad Clemson plays. If you beat them 28-7, that's something else because nobody does that, even when they're not playing great.
And, folks, this is the natural reaction of overreaction week one. I mean,
of course.
There's just nothing to compare it to yet. We're all excited. There's always a September Heisman. Remember last year was Anthony Richardson of Florida. He was
absolutely.
So, listen, but Florida State and Duke look great. But that might be a game to highlight now more than Clemson.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I mean. Florida State's got to be licking their chops because they're like, and I'm not sure where that game is. I got a feeling it's in Clemson. But if Duke is holding Clemson to 7 points, you got to think with that Florida State defense, they got to be feeling really good.
I'll tell you this: Clemson did make a couple of bonehead plays on their own inside the red zone.
Absolutely.
So that game could
take that.
But that happens in games. You know, you got
to overcome that shit, and that's not why you lost by 3 touchdowns either.
And I got to tell you this: you want to talk about speed? Clemson didn't look like they were overmatching Duke at all,
which is crazy, right? Because if there's anything we've said, like we both agree, I think that over the last couple of years, their offense with Uiagalelei, who I'm going to mention him in a minute too, it didn't look great. The offense, but the defense has always been good. Always been fast, always been attacking. Looked kind of average.
I know. That's
very surprising.
And that's why I don't love preseason AP poll.
It's totally unnecessary.
LSU and Clemson were totally just on reputation in the top 10.
Right.
Washington, I think they were 10, looked outstanding.
Yes.
Oregon at 11 put up 81.
Right.
I mean, guys, what are we doing with this preseason poll? It's
what's unfair about it is that so LSU loses, or LSU gets smoked by Florida State, and they don't even fall out of the top 20. Now, if there was so my question is, you're telling me if there was no top 25, if there was no AP top 25 preseason poll, would LSU even be ranked right now?
Exactly.
There's only 2 teams. There's only 2 teams in the top 25 that have losses. LSU shouldn't even be in there right now. Why are we ranking them after some of the games that we saw? Why are we even ranking LSU? You know, so that's where I agree with you. Like, there should be no preseason, or at least it shouldn't matter. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, LSU was 4 and they dropped to 17? It shouldn't even be ranked.
I know.
It's absurd. They shouldn't even be ranked. Now, you can work your way back in, get a couple big wins. Maybe you beat Alabama. Maybe you beat Auburn. And you work your way back to a top 10 team.
Right.
But it shouldn't just be a given, you know? So, yeah, I'm with you on that.
That's all I got, but what do you got?
Okay, so a couple games that stood out to me. Not that they were huge games, but you mentioned the Washington game. And I bring that up because it's starting to look more and more like a 2 or 3 horse race in the Pac-12. Oh, by the way, you got some really good quarterback play going on in the Pac-12, which is fascinating because this league isn't even going to exist a year from now.
And how about being 13-0 as a conference or 12-0 as a whatever?
That's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
they probably have their best year in their top 5 or 6 teams
as they're burning to the ground. It's
it's going to be burned to the ground.
It's unbelievable.
So Michael Penix looked great. He was one of my preseason Heisman hopeful candidates possible, and he looked really good. They have some really nice wide receivers.
Oh, I know. The 3 of those guys, dude. Oh, my God.
That's a talented football team. If they can play some defense, that's going to be very competitive.
They're going to be in some shootouts up there, bro.
And because right away I saw that, and I'm like, I want to see them play USC. Like I did, it's the first thing you start thinking of. Also
and Oregon too, for that matter.
Well, Oregon, and then also was Oregon State. Uyunglele started there. I think
nice.
He threw a bunch of touchdowns. I don't remember how many. 42-17 over San Jose State. Why do I even mention that score? Why does this game matter? Well, a week ago, USC played San Jose State, and San Jose State put 28 on USC. Does it matter? Not really. But let's not forget Oregon State was a pretty darn good team last year. They beat Oregon in that little civil war that they have between those two. That's a good football team too, with a very good football coach. So your top 3 or 4 teams right now in the Pac-12, USC, Utah, Washington, Oregon, and Oregon State. I mean, 5 teams, all 5 with good quarterbacks. USC, probably the worst defense out of all of them. It's so crazy to think I'm saying this, but this is going to be an awesome year for the Pac-12. Enjoy it because this is it.
To piggyback off your DJ point, Clemson let him walk right out the door.
Dude, they look even more horrible now.
Oh my God!
First game, he basically throws like 5 touchdown passes.
And that's
3 or 4.
And that's another thing why I'm saying it's weird with Dabo. Like,
I know
he looks looser at Oregon State. He looks skinnier. He looks like he's having fun with football again. I don't know, man.
Well, look. Over the last 2 years, they've lost the offense coordinator. Although Dabo Swinney's an offensive guy, and you lost their defense coordinator at Oklahoma. What the hell's his name? Talking about
Venables.
Venables. So suddenly they don't score any points, and their defense isn't what it used to be.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. So Clemson might be in trouble, but those are. And then I'm going to give you one more game that I was like, wow. And the only reason I say is because I brought their name up and like against if they play Texas Tech or something like that. Baylor lost outright to Texas State, and they didn't just 42-31.
And this isn't the Scott Bakula Texas State.
No, this is that's a tough loss, and that makes you question like what the hell's going on because Baylor's been a relatively high-powered offense, good program over the last 4 or 5 years, even with the shit that went on with the little scandals that they had. So I look at that and I'm like, damn, like that's a funky one right there. What does that mean? Now, to your point, let's not overreact. I think I say this every year. I'll probably say it again next week because it'll be the NFL's first week. Any coach will tell you make your greatest improvements as a team between weeks 1 and week 2 because you finally see who you are. So a lot of these teams, they're playing for the first time. So, coaches really have an idea now of what their weaknesses is and they can really go to work on it. But some of them are a little more concerning than others. Baylor concerns me. The Clemson offense
and their quarterback got hurt too.
For who?
Baylor.
Oh, but that was pretty late in the game, though. That's not why they lost.
Yeah, but he's out this. But I'm saying that might keep him back from.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Ohio State offense, it concerns me. Does it mean they're not going to suck? They're going to suck this year? No, relax. But it concerns me. Nebraska, I'm still holding out on. I'm a Matt Rule guy. I'm a fan of his. So I'm going to
Florida concerns me big time.
Florida definitely concerns me, man, because I don't know that they love the fan base. I don't know if the fan base loves Napier anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know that he really endeared himself to that fan base. So,
yep.
Don't lose 2 weeks in a row, which I doubt they will. But yeah, a couple concerning things. That's all. You could be concerned. I'll put it this way: things to watch out for this week and next. How about that?
One more thing before we move on to this week. Did you hear Chip Kelly's comments at UCLA at halftime?
He's not a fan of the time.
Freaked
the new
out.
timing thing. Yeah, right. He's like,
Wow.
we have 4 possessions. You like that?
He's yelling at the reporter like he changed the rules.
I
know. What's going on?
It's that guy's fault. See what you did.
You happy now?
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. We said it's likely to see some of these games go under. Although we also saw multiple teams score in the 70s and one in the 80s. So
here's my point. Here's my problem with this. Kind of like with the baseball rules. Guys, it's not the clock. As a big Michigan fan with a lot of noon kicks, and they're winning games last year by like 30 points, and the game would end at 4:05 because we don't need commercials after extra point, kickoff,
Right.
First play. This is how many sponsors do we
here's
need?
the other thing. Hey, Chip, maybe you only had 4 possessions because your defense wasn't stopping the other team. Why don't you make some stops and you'll get more possessions?
That's a good point. They lost a ton of guys off that team. I was looking at the roster. Oh, man.
And they still won. So,
They did.
So he should
And
be
again,
real happy. Jesus.
And again, adjustment week 1.
Absolutely.
Next week we'll be more smooth. This week, week 2.
Let's take a look.
You said it. Nebraska goes to Boulder and plays the Fighting Prime Times.
I tell you what, man, the Dion effect is unbelievable. The ratings that they got, first of all, I didn't even mention this before, but the ratings that they got for that Colorado-Texas Christian game are higher than any NBA regular season game last year, even Christmas Day.
Wow.
It was like the eyes that this brings in. And this brings up a point that somebody had made, maybe for ESPN or who knows, one of these guys had talked about that whatever contract Deion Sanders got for Colorado, he's underpaid. And here's why. And you might be right. I didn't love the comment at the time, but I may have to walk it back. Listen, their whole season is sold out. They're on TV every fucking week now. The ratings on TV are fucking bananas. Like, everybody wants to watch Colorado. Everybody's talking about Colorado on ESPN and Fox Sports and Yahoo Sports. It's all Colorado all the fucking time. The attention that they're getting, I don't even know that you could
Michael Irvin flew out there to watch him.
I don't know that you can put a number on this shit. I really don't. It's pretty crazy. So this will be interesting because now they're home. And this is an old rivalry, too. This used to be
Game Day's going there, right? Or am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure. That I don't know about.
No,
you may be right.
It's got to be Texas Bama.
Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's crazy that the attention, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a little intrigued because TCU didn't exactly play any defense, and the one thing that Nebraska did do pretty well last week was play defense.
You want to kind of see this go a little longer though, so you could feed into it and.
Yeah,
I know. Like,
oh my God, of course. I want the lead story on Bump and Run podcast next week to be Colorado does it again.
2-0.
Of course.
You know what I like about this too with Deion, and I was talking to Eddie and Mikey about this the other day. He doesn't need to do this shit.
Not at all.
He sit back and relax and retire. Dude, he loves it. He knows what he like. And like someone was saying, he doesn't curse. So like,
do you remember when this whole journey really started for him? The Dallas Cowboys were looking for a new coach, and he said, "I should be the Dallas Cowboys coach," and everybody laughed him off the screen. Right? That's ridiculous. And what did he do? He went to Jackson State. And what did he do there? Make them a friggin', what is it, FCS, FBS, whatever the hell is FCS, powerhouse, HBC, unbelievable. Coming to Colorado, maybe the Cowboys would have been better served hiring Deion Sanders. How crazy.
So Sal Palantonio went on DP or somebody the other day and said his next stop is the NFL.
He says he doesn't want to.
He's not going.
He doesn't want to deal with these guys with these big egos and big contracts. That's what I watched him say that.
If Jerry Jones calls him,
well,
people
say no.
People have said stuff before, and a week later they have gone missing.
It's hard
Nick
to
Saban,
say no.
Hello. So I mean,
it's hard to say no.
No, but it's a cool story.
It's awesome. It's a lot of fun too. It's a fun story.
And especially like he sees himself in Travis Hunter too, like playing all like I don't know how long he can do that for 160 something snaps in 105-degree heat. But that kid looked like he wasn't tired at all at the end of the game either.
I don't think anybody can do that for somebody other than Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
I think it's only a guy like that who played 2 sports, sometimes both during the same time. Like,
Coach,
to put the confidence
two
into
toes
someone,
cut
you
off,
can do
coaching, walking on the side. Like, it's
Crazy,
incredible, man. It's incredible.
It's really something else. And that's why I'm saying, if you think he's not a good coach, he's a really good coach.
Yeah,
folks.
yeah. I think
he understands people.
I think that narrative's got to be go bye.
Because he understands people. He knows how to bring in the groceries, man. He knows how to bring in the players, and he knows how to motivate them.
And it looks like he's got some good assistants too.
Well, that's the other side of it for sure.
But that helps.
Who had more of a network to pick from than Dion, right? Oh, of course it helps. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that helps Dion's ability with people. Like
yes, absolutely.
A little weird game here. Notre Dame at NC State.
Well, it's weird because Notre Dame has looked really, really good, but they've also haven't played anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So now NC State is okay, but it'll be a much stiffer test than Middle Tennessee State. So
listen, a lot of travel for the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, Ireland back now to go to North Carolina and back.
You make a good point there for sure, definitely. And all 3 weeks in a row, no break in there really.
Right, no break at all.
Yeah.
A game that we probably wouldn't consider two likable teams.
Uh-oh.
And two teams that have had their share of controversy. And look at me, coaches. You have any guess, sir?
I kind of do, but the last comment scared me off. I was going to say Texas A&M Miami.
That's exactly what it would be.
Oh, thank you. I kind of had a feeling where you're going.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would be, because
I have that one listed as well.
We know Miami's history for years and years with their nonsense, and A&M with Jimbo Fisher and the high recruits, and then bitching at Nick Saban, and then having a really, really down year, and then the Manziel situation, although not with Jimbo, but still in the same college. Mario Cristobal, ex-Miami player, second year leaving Oregon. I'm sick of hearing about all these guys. He's a perfect Miami fit. This is like the third or fourth guy we've heard that's a perfect Miami fit.
Yep.
Dude, at some point, and A&M, they went out and got your boy Bobby Petrino.
I think that's a big deal. They looked pretty good on offense week one. Petrino, look, again, I don't think this is a good guy. I don't think he's a solid dude. But the guy knows offense. Plain and simple. It really is as simple as that. And they looked a lot better. Now, they didn't play anybody the first week, but neither did Miami. So they both had walk-off wins. Like, they both won relatively easy. But you're 100% right. These are two coaches. One program is a bit in trouble. Both coaches. Miami is not in trouble as a program, but their program is. I'm saying Texas A&M is Texas A&M. There's so much money. There's so much attention. They would fire him and get a new coach, and they'd be off to the races. But both of these guys are kind of fighting for their jobs and reputations, and they both played pretty well week one. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. It's a fascinating matchup of SEC versus ACC. Yeah. This one kind of came out of nowhere.
I was at a barbecue Saturday night, and there was a big Miami fan there. We're talking, and I go, dude, what do you think is hurting Miami like long term, like for like this many years? They can't figure it out. And he goes, since they knocked down the OB, and they're playing at the Dolphins Arena, was that Landshark Stadium or whatever the hell it is? Hard Rock Stadium, I think it is.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is. He goes, it's like 45, 50 minutes away from campus, and they have no home field advantage. Like, it's brutal.
Weren't we just talking about someone else who has a very similar situation? I feel like we were just talking about someone else. They have to drive a while.
Well, I know Seton Hall basketball's got that a little bit. They got to go to Prudential, but that wasn't what we were talking about.
But I think you're right. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, how do you not have your own freaking stadium? You're the fucking Miami Hurricanes, man.
Yeah, I know. And all the legend, the tradition you got there.
And they got money. It's not like Miami U doesn't have money. This is like a big-time school for doctors. Like, this is a high-end school.
Lawyers?
Lawyers. Like, this is a good school. They have the money. How you don't have your own freaking campus or have your own stadium is beyond me. So that's crazy in and of itself. But I agree, that's probably a problem because if there's no excitement, but I think if they had the players and they were winning games, they'd fill that stadium. But the problem is, to your point, I don't know that you're going to get – I don't know that if it's an hour away, basically, I don't know that you're ever going to get that student body connection that some of these other schools have.
Yeah.
when a kid can just walk out of his dorm and
I know, it just seems so out of your way. It's it's a lot of travel for.
Sometimes you just can't get there. What are you going to Uber? So
I know it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Oregon at Texas Tech.
It's a road game for Oregon. They had to go to Texas Tech. Texas Tech was winning, and I think they ended up losing their game in a shootout. Oregon won like 152-0.
Yeah.
So you would expect them to win. You would expect Oregon to win, but this is one of those funky spots. It's going to be 107 degrees in Texas. It makes no sense for Texas Tech to win this game, which is why you should probably take Texas Tech. It just makes no sense.
I know, it's weird.
Let's be honest. Oregon won against Portland State, and I think it's a D2 school. They might have a high school schedule. So don't read too much into that. And the whole Bo Nix thing, to me, I never got it. I never fully understood it. I've yet to see whether he played at Auburn, right? Am I wrong? In his years at Auburn or Oregon, I don't see this great quarterback. I don't understand why he's even on like a Heisman early season list or anything like that. I don't get it. So you're playing a real Division I team now, so we'll see how that goes. But I think they're favored by like 8.5, something like that.
I think it's less than that. I think it's 7. I think it's 6.5 or 7. Yeah.
Is it that? Okay.
Yeah.
You would think Oregon should win that game fairly handily, but
you would think so. But yes, Vegas knows something.
Yeah. Again, I'm not kidding. I think it'll be 107 down in Texas. Oof. So that'll probably play into it.
Last one for me, buddy. Texas at Alabama.
Huge game, obviously. This is as big a game as there's going to be for Steve Sarkisian as well, and for Quinn Ewers, kind of both of them at the same time. Not that it's a job killer for Sarkisian if they were to lose, but you had Alabama on the ropes last year, and Bryce Young kind of brought them back to win that game. It's certainly a tough ask to go into Alabama and win that game, but you need to be competitive. If they get blown out by 30, with basically, Alabama hasn't even like fully decided on their quarterback yet. I don't know that anything we saw last week made it any clearer. They got to look at least competitive. And Quinn Ewers, I don't know. Texas was funny last week, man. They had a hard time moving the ball against Rice. I was actually watching some of that game. They end up winning the game, going away. But now, part of it, I wonder, are they just looking forward to Alabama?
Yeah, they didn't want to show anything. Is it just kind of 6 plays? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So I give them, obviously we expect Texas to be hyped as shit for this game, but so will Alabama because they have a little bit to prove after, squeaking by, and some people thought they should have lost last year. So it'll be fun. I just hope Texas has enough to keep it close. They certainly didn't show that last week.
That's all I got, brother.
Okay, I have 2 games. Both of them are odd. These are not like big games. It is a weird week this week. There's not a lot of great games.
This weekend, next week, it's a little weird, yeah.
2 games stood out to me. One because of the spread, and one because of they're both top 25 teams, and you don't even have them on your games of interest this week. So the 2 top 25 10.
Ole Miss, Tulane.
Ole Miss and Tulane.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is almost like a trap game here. It's a weird game. You got Ole Miss coming off scoring 100 points or 70-something points, 73-3, I think they won. And Tulane's a top 25 team. Tulane is going to be super sky high for this game. They're at home. This is what I mean. It's a trap. I feel like it could be a trap. I think it could be a closer game than people might think. Because Tulane's going to be just super jacked. This is their bowl game. This is their Super Bowl. This is their national championship. This is the kind of game, if Tulane can find a way to pull off a win here, and then they run the table in their conference and shit like that, which is possible. They're the highest ranked team in their conference. You become one of those outside the top 5 conference teams that says, hey, we deserve a shot at the playoffs. We beat a big time Ole Miss ranked team. So, that's the story they're talking about all week this week in Tulane. That's the story the coaches are selling their players. And the players probably believe it because it's a pretty good team.
Yeah, it is.
But Kiffin's a great coach. He's no dummy. He's been around for a while now doing this. I'm sure he's been plugging that into his guys' head all week. These guys are going to be super hyped for you, saying exactly what the other coach is saying to his players. This is what they're thinking. You're their piece of meat, man. You're their ticket to what they think is a spot in the 14 playoffs. So be very aware. So I actually think that could be a sneaky fun game to watch, a sneaky good game to watch. Especially if you're like us, where like, yes, we have rooting interest, but in general, we just like watching college football. And for me, it's always because I like rooting for underdogs and I'm always looking for upsets. So that's one of those games that I'm just like going to watch with some interest. And if the game is tight still in the second quarter or so, like I probably switch over and start watching that one and rooting for Tulane. So I think that could be really interesting. The other one, okay, so Virginia lost, like got slaughtered by Tennessee last week. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, 56-14, something pretty bad. But it's Virginia. They are a home dog, not against Virginia Tech, not against North Carolina, not against Clemson. They are a 6.5-point home dog against James Madison.
Oh,
What?
wow.
What? So I almost have to watch the first half of that game just to see what is going. I went and looked. Like James Madison won their first game, but it wasn't against anybody. Like it wasn't like, some big win. I'm just like, how bad can Virginia be if they're home dogs? Like if they were road favorites against James Madison by only 6, I'd be like by the 6.5 that they're dog. I'd be like, wow, what's going on in Virginia? They're only favored by 6.5 at James Madison. No, they're 6.5-point dogs at home against James Madison. What's going on?
Good story out of Virginia, though. A running back who shot in that tragedy last year came back and played.
Right.
So there's a little silver lining there. It's a good story for him and the whole school getting back on it. So, that's one thing you got to look at it too. They've been through it the last year, 10 months.
Absolutely.
They've been through it. So, that fact that they're out there playing football and stuff, one day at a time. But yeah, that is alarming for sure.
I saw that and I'm like, that's got to be a mistake, but it's not a friggin' mistake. So we'll see what happens. Again, from a coaching standpoint, that coach is telling them nobody thinks we can win this game. They're going to come into our place and we're underdogs. Hell no. So maybe they get up for that and win that game. But so that's what I got. Want to head to the NFL, my man?
Yes, sir. We have one last conference to do, or one division, I should say. NFC West. Last year's NFC runner-up, the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy is the guy. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. They traded Trey Lance. They got a good backup in Sam Darnold. Joey Bosa was holding out when I wrote this the other day, but he is signed a huge contract. What was it, 5 years, 190?
5 years,
175, 170.
Basically averages $34 million a year. That's getting into like quarterback territory.
He is a good player, but I don't know how long he's going to last that long. But
yep. Well, so 120 of it is guaranteed. So if it's a 5-year contract, that 120 is probably for 4 years. So, or 122, whatever the number is. But it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is that's the kind of guy you got to sign. What do we talk about all the time on this show? You got to have a quarterback. You got to protect your quarterback. You got to get after the quarterback, and you got to stop the quarterback. So it's like you got a quarterback, offensive line, and rushers,
pass rush and corner,
and defense and corners. Like that's the game. I think even more. I say all those positions before you even get to wide receiver. Now you got to have somebody to throw to, of course, but I'd rather have a bunch of B receivers with A+ linemen than A+ wide receivers and B or C linemen.
Is there pressure on Kyle Shanahan this year?
Pressure. Yeah. I mean, there's pressure in the sense of like you can't miss the playoffs.
Purdy can't take a step back after you whiffed on Lance and everything.
I don't know what you mean by a step back. Like he can't be a 500 quarterback because this is too good a team for that.
Right.
But let's be fair. The fucker was 8-0 as a starter who finished games last year. So stepping back might be 7-1.
Sure.
So yeah, to your point, like if they start the season 4-4, there's going to be rumblings, especially if it's that. So like everything's relative. I don't know if he throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns every game and they're 4-4. It's not going to have anything to do with it.
Right.
That would have to be because of their defense, because that's just stupid numbers. So, but yeah, I mean, there's that kind of pressure. You're a team that went to the NFC Championship last year. If your quarterback didn't get hurt in that game, who knows what happens? Maybe you're in the Super Bowl, maybe not, or at least it's a closer game. So there's definitely pressure. They probably have more pressure on them than any team in this division.
Is this the best team in the NFC?
I think so. Purdy is the one. I don't even call him a question mark, but when you look around,
an experienced guy, or
just like when you look around the league and think of all the great teams, best rosters, they all kind of include a pretty darn top shelf quarterback. Buffalo, Josh Allen, Mahomes with Kansas City, Cincinnati, bing, like you go along the list, and it's like they all have great quarterbacks. I don't know that he's great, but as Kyle Shanahan and this team has shown over the last few years, their quarterback doesn't have to be great. He just has to be good, and they can win a lot of games. Yeah. So if you look just by the numbers last year, if he kind of just reproduces the statistics he did last year, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
That defense is so goddamn good. They got shit ton of weapons, a really good offensive line. Oh, by the way, they have one of the best running games in the league and one of the best running backs. So unless there's like really massive catastrophic injuries, I suspect they're going to be a pretty goddamn good team this year. I don't see a guy like Purdy. Like you'd have to show me at some point from the time he was a freshman at Iowa State to this moment right now where he hasn't been at least competent and good. You know what I mean? Like, I have no evidence to say that this is going to change.
That's fair.
When we talked about Trey Lance, we're like, dude, the kid didn't play for a year. Even when he did play, the 1 year he played at North Dakota State, they were predominantly a running team. There were games where he threw the ball only 13 times. Like, to me, you never had the evidence on the upside. Whereas if you can look at Iowa State, that team is back. They won like 3 games last year. They were a bowl team every year beating Iowa. Now they're back to sucking again. So, like, Purdy has a track record of being good, if not better than good. I have no evidence to expect otherwise.
I remember when Michigan was struggling at the end with COVID and stuff with Jimmy Harbaugh. And on Twitter, Michigan, well, I want Campbell from Iowa State. I'm like, oh, my God.
But you see what happens. No more Purdy. For 4 years in a row, you're a bowl team, and that coach has been.
You're beating Oklahoma.
Nobody even talks about Campbell anymore. They were sub 500 team last year. Didn't make the bowl. They're gonna probably be below 500 again this year. Nobody cared. He had his chance.
Cyhawk week this week too. Iowa State. Schedule at Steelers week 1, Giants week 3, Dallas.
Is that not the best game of the week? Is that maybe the best game of the week?
There's a couple.
Is that a 1 o'clock game too?
Yeah, 1 o'clock game.
What a great way to start.
Yeah. Dallas week 5, at Vikings week 7, Bengals week 8, at Jaguars week 9, at Seattle week 12, at Philly week 13, and Ravens week 16. They are gonna.
It's not an easy schedule. Yeah, it's not an easy schedule.
Second place. Last year, playoff team, the Seattle Seahawks.
Shocker.
Geno Smith extended.
Geno Smith had the highest completion percentage in the NFL last year, folks.
I know.
What? I mean, that's just crazy.
Once you leave the Jets.
Thanks.
Weapons galore.
So that means Aaron Rodgers will be great in his next stop.
On his couch. Can they overtake the Niners?
Can they? Yes. Will they? I don't think so. But I'll tell you what, man. Through the draft and a couple nice little moves, including the Russell Wilson trade, they have rebuilt this team really quick. Now, they are very young on defense, but there's a lot of talent there. They rebuilt their offensive line, and they got 2 rookie tackles last year, and they both worked out. Like, hello.
And the Adams trade, too, dude.
Absolutely. So this is a really fast-rising team. I'll put it to you this way. I would not predict. I don't think they're going to win it. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win a division. But if they did, you won't see me sitting here on this podcast being like, I can't believe this shit.
Yeah, agreed.
No, this is a tough team, dude.
Pete Carroll, a young 72, 73, whatever he is. How long do you think he wants to go for, man? Like that. He looks totally opposite of Belichick. Belichick's like limping around, wobbly.
Yeah, so this is like the idea of like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's the same age, basically the same age as Donald Trump, but they're not the same, right? Like they're cognitively not the same. Belichick and Pete Carroll are not the same. Like Pete Carroll has a skip and a hop about him, where Belichick is basically weeble wobbling all over the place. Like everybody wears out at a different pace. So how long? I don't know. Shows no signs of slowing down. He's healthy. He's fit. Looks good. So, and again, this team is rising so fast. Like we talked about this with Belichick when we did the AFC East preview. Like, how long does he want to wait? In Seattle here, I don't think Pete Carroll's waiting very long. Now, the big question is, number one, are you going to get the same out of Geno? But even if you knew you were, for how long would you get that out of Geno? Like how many years until this team is truly, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender this year. So do you get another 2 years this year, and maybe 1 or 2 more out of Geno? I don't know. I think that's a big ask. In the meantime, do you start looking for the next guy? Maybe. But this is a good team. This is a good football team. And they are well coached, like it or not, folks. If you think Pete Carroll was washed up, you were wrong.
Schedule. Week 2 at Lions. Very good game there. Should be a high scorer. Week 4 at the Giants. I think that's a Monday nighter. That's a good one as well. Week 6 at the Bengals. Week 9 at the Ravens. Week 13 at the Cowboys. Is that Thanksgiving?
I don't know.
Wow. Week 14 at the Niners. Week 15 Philly home, and Week 17 Steelers.
Mike Dean asked if Purdy had Tommy John surgery. I don't think it was Tommy John surgery.
But he had his elbow something. But
there was something with his elbow, but I don't think it was Tommy John, because I think with that you're out like over a year. So
he's not throwing breaking balls either.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Third place team from last year, the Rams, disappointing, coming off a Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp hurt, missed about 7 or 8 weeks. And we said this for years. The Super Bowl season is starting to haunt them. The money is just ridiculous. They're cutting good guys. They're trading other guys. The guys are retiring on them, and they went all in. They got the ring, and now this is what you get.
I remember at the time, anyone who kind of spoke against us, saying that you're mortgaging off your future, said, "Who cares if you win the Super Bowl?" Well, I just asked if you care now. Do you care now? Because it ain't just going to be last year and this year. It's going to be last year, this year, next year, probably the year after that. Yeah. Even if you are the worst team in all of football, you're going to get a rookie quarterback. You get a Drake May. You think you're going to the Super Bowl right away?
Right.
You're going to be good right away? You have so many holes on this team now. So, hey, I can't argue with the fact that what they did got them the Super Bowl. But you're paying a price now, and you're going to be paying a price for a little while. And the worst part is you're in L.A. And if there's anything we know about L.A. fans, L.A. sports fans, if you're not good, they don't come.
This is true.
Like in Kansas City, you can be mediocre, and those fans are coming to that game. Jets are perennially – mediocre would be fantastic. I would love for them to be mediocre all the time. They've been bad, and fans come. That's not the case in L.A. There's a lot of other shit to do. L.A. is similar to New York and like New York City, not New Jersey, New York, and Miami. If you're not good in Miami, they don't come. They don't come. And there's a beach. There's a ton of shit to do. L.A., there's more shit to do than you can think of. Why am I going to go watch my team lose? I'm not going to pay money to watch them lose. I'm not going. So, they're in a bad spot. Like you said, Cooper Kupp out. Who's scoring now?
Does this have a little bit of it feels like the end is near for McVay a little bit?
Well, listen, he threatened last year to retire, right?
Yeah, gave it a thought this year to retire. He turned down that announcing gig after the Super Bowl.
So it seems to me like there's this potential for them to suddenly start trading pieces off. Like, what could you get for an Aaron Donald after week 3? What could you get for Matthew Stafford in the offseason?
Jalen Ramsey's already gone.
So he's a young coach. This is the difference between, like, say, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Sean McVay. I know he likes the owner, and I know he likes the GM. So maybe if we sit down and say, hey, we're going to sell these pieces off, get a shit ton of draft picks, get those draft picks back, because you're not winning with Aaron Donald and Matthew Stafford right now. It's over. That window is gone. But what could you get for Aaron Donald? What could you get for Matthew Stafford? Can you kind of recoup some of those picks that you lost and then start to build back up? Maybe. And a young dude, McVay's still in his 30s.
I know.
He's 37, 38 years old.
Younger than me, I think.
Yeah. So would he want to stick around for that? I might want to stick around for that and say, these guys all have egos. You got to remember, there's massive egos going around here. And he could say, well, instead of me just coming into a program, we can build it the way I want it, as opposed to taking over one that was. So I think he'd rather do that than stick around and be 500 or sub 500. I think he'd rather shit the bed and start from scratch than move these pieces. But this is what happens, folks. This is what happens when you sell the farm for 2 players, 3 players.
Yeah.
You can't pay everybody, and then you're out of luck.
Schedule: at Seahawks, week 1. At Bengals, week 3. Cooper Kupp already ruled out for that game, by the way.
Yep.
Eagles home, week 5. Steelers home, week 7. At Cowboys, week 8. At Packers, week 9. At Ravens, week 14. Saints, week 16. Giants, week 17. At the Giants, week 17. And at the Niners, week 18. I would be shocked if this team wins anything more than like 7 games.
Oh, I agree with you totally.
I would be shocked.
I agree with
That's
you totally.
when I'd go. If they're in the playoffs at 10-7, I go, holy shit. McVay's better than I
That's
thought.
not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
That's not at best, they're 500. Yeah, there's no way. There's more than 7 wins.
Last one, a humongous dumpster fire, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
They are in full tank mode. They cut Colt McCoy just because they're worried about him winning games, I think, at that point.
You might be right, which is incredible.
Dude, that's like, and like, how about a red flag there for the league? That's embarrassing.
Well, here's forget the league giving you a red flag. Here's your red flag from Carl Williams, which is Caleb Williams' dad, who said, don't think for 1 second my son is going to play at Arizona, basically. Without saying that, that's what he said. And how do I know that that's what he said? Who's an assistant coach for USC? Oh, wait a minute. Cliff Kingsbury is an assistant coach for USC. You think maybe he's told Caleb Williams what it's like playing and being in Arizona with the Cardinals?
And Kyler Murray and everything else, yeah.
You think he might have – I'm not even saying he threw Arizona under the bus. Just tell it like it is. He's not going to play there, folks. So if you think you're tanking for Caleb, you're not.
Well, here's another point. Just like you said, with the Rams going to be bad again next year. The Cardinals are going to be bad again next year.
Yeah, because so here's what's even crazier. We're talking about taking for Caleb. Do you forget that you got a guy on your roster called Kyler Murray who you just signed for like a friggin' $300 million?
Well, that's what I have written down here.
And nobody wants him?
Lincoln Riley, question mark?
Would you? I'd rather be at USC.
No, I'd rather be at USC too. Yeah, not much else to say. They're gonna stink. They're gonna really.
It's a bad
stink.
team. It's a bad football.
Week 2 at Giants. Week 2 Giants home. Week 3 Cowboys home. Week 4 at the Niners. Week 5 Bengals home. Week 7 at Seattle. Week 8 Ravens. Week 13 at Pitt. Week 17 at Philly. But I think at that point, I didn't know who's playing quarterback. You know what? I almost cut myself off.
The quarterback. Dude, why are you telling me your schedule? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you got there a week ago.
Bad football.
Listen, in case somebody wants to go to Arizona and see a nice game, and I don't know.
You probably get free tickets.
Jesus Christ. NFL Week 1 preview, my friend.
Wait, do you want to put them in the order that you think?
I got them in the same order as last year. San Fran 1, Seattle 2, Rams 3, Cardinals 4.
I do too. I think there's an argument at some point that the Rams – if they start doing what I was saying, like selling off real estate.
If they had anybody else in that division except Arizona, I would totally go that route. But I think Arizona's going to be that bad.
If they sell off Matthew Stafford and Aaron Donald, and Aaron Donald would come first, there's nothing left. there's nothing left.
Yeah, is anyone trading for Hollywood Brown? Although they did.
Somebody is.
Besides them.
Listen, they're going to be fighting. Those two teams with Tampa are going to be fighting for the worst record in the NFL, I think, unfortunately.
How about the Colts? Texans?
I think the Texans are not as bad. Plus, I think they'll be decent on defense with D'Amico Ryans.
They got to play a lot of AFC teams, though, dude.
I know. I think I told you, like, they made some signings in the offseason. Nobody big wanted to go to Houston, but they did sign a bunch of good players. I don't know how bad they're going to be. I think these two teams are really bad. Like, I think Rams are better than Cards right now.
Yeah.
But if they do what I think they might do, Oh, dude. It's
I wonder
so
how long.
thin.
I wonder how long Stafford's gonna go.
I think he could still play.
He's
because
not
he
the
can
healthiest
still
guy in the
swing
world
it.
either, though.
Well, that's true, but he also has been running for his life last season.
Yeah.
To your point, though,
remember he came in with that arm injury too.
Yeah, it was like 2 years in a row with that shit. But I mean, listen, if you were I don't fucking know. I'm just trying to reach here, but like Minnesota or I don't fucking know, Atlanta.
Yeah.
What if Atlanta has a good team, but Ritter's not your guy?
What if Tua goes down again too? You go get that.
So I think there's a market. Yeah, I think there's a market, or even, dude, I think he'd be a nice fit in Tennessee. You know, next season you got a good solid running game.
Drafting these fucking guys, it's like.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Like I think there'll be a market for him if he wants to continue playing. Does he want to? That part I don't know. You might be right about that. He might be like, I got my Super Bowl. I'm good. Does he want the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, like if they ask,
is he a Hall of Famer right now?
Yeah, he is.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Do you want to go to Chicago? No, I don't want to go. I want to go. I want to go sit with my hot wife and watch water grow or water melt.
Come on. I'm with you on that. I get that. But to me, he's not Hall of Fame yet. If you were to make one more deep playoff run,
go look at his numbers with the Lions.
I know, but they were so bad. It gets held against them.
But that Super Bowl ring, I think, evens it out.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
It puts them right there. I'm just saying, do you want to solidify that? If you were to go to, say, Tennessee and make like a deep playoff run, not even win a Super Bowl, just make a deep playoff run. Now you've done that with 2 teams. It's no longer just McVay's Super Bowl. You're great.
I hear you.
That's all.
Week 1 starts tonight.
Dude, by the way, I love this game tonight. It's a bonus pick of mine.
Ooh.
Not one of my picks because who knows when people listen to this, but it's a bonus pick. I love this game tonight. I liked it before injuries, and now I love it. I feel like Joe Biden, and now I love it.
And now you're asleep. Sorry. Week 1 tonight.
No, that's Mitch McConnell.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Jesus.
Oh my God.
Let's not go. Let's not turn this into
Go away, guys. Just go away. What the hell?
Lions at Chiefs. Travis Kelce, highly questionable with a hyperextension of a knee.
Even if he plays, what are you getting out of him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's
got is he more of like a decoy? Even if he isn't, how many can go?
They still have Patrick Mahomes, so that's always scary. They have weapons on the outside that he's familiar with, but not like he had with Kelce and Hill and stuff like that. Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore. Defense is missing a huge piece. Defensive tackle Chris Jones is not there.
Massive.
Holding out for more money. Frank Clark is not walking through those doors either. He's at rival Denver now.
Correct.
And the Lions are the absolute hype train coming into town.
Which means they're going to lose. But I like this game. I like the Lions tonight. I really like them a lot.
What's the number at now? 4?
I think it's down to 5. Maybe it's 4.5. You know what? Let me check on my little mini smart machine.
I'm going to check too.
On the score. I'm looking on the score app, so I don't know how accurate their line is, but it's 5 on there. Kansas City by
4.5 on mine.
For what app?
Yahoo
Sports. Okay. So 4.5, 5. I liked Detroit tonight because of Chris Jones being out. I think we kind of touched on it a little last week where I said, you know, Detroit has one of the best offensive lines in all of football, which means they have a great running game. So with Chris Jones being out, I thought they were going to run a ball all over Kansas City anyway. We know from the past, Kansas City's defense starts off the season so fucking bad every year. And then as the season goes on, Spagnuolo figures out what his guys can and can't do. And by the time the playoffs roll around, they're decent. They're never good or great, but they're decent.
Yeah.
But they start off bad. So you're already in a hole, and now you don't got Chris Jones, and now you got maybe one of the top 5 rushing teams in the NFL coming into your building. I already like Kansas City. I already like Detroit. Now you're going to tell me Travis Kelce? So who are the 3 best players on Kansas City?
Mahomes, Kelce, and Chris Jones.
And 2 out of those 3. Yeah. Now, as much as I love Mahomes, he's not making up for everybody. Okay? So 2 of your 3 best players are not playing, or at least they're not playing at 100%. Yeah, I like Detroit tonight. Just because I think, you know, Detroit's defense was super bad last year. Really bad. but I think they made some improvements. But I just think
And
they're
they
going to take the
improved
air
as
out
the
of
year
them.
went along, too, I think.
It
didn't they?
absolutely did. It was way worse in the beginning of the season than it was at the end. So let's give some credit to
Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn there. He did a really good job of fixing it up. So I just think Detroit is going to take the air out of the ball. They're going to keep control of the ball. I think they win this game tonight. I really do.
Wow. In Kansas
I think
City.
they win it outright.
In
Yeah,
Arrowhead, hanging a banner. Woo!
I think they win it outright.
Woo! I hope you're right, Matt Frank.
It's just because of a matchup. This is not an I love Detroit thing. I just think it's a bad matchup at a bad time. That's all.
I hear you. Battle in Ohio, the Bengals at the Browns.
This is a huge game, man. I didn't
know.
realize how – so, I think both you and I think the Bengals are one of the best teams in the AFC. But they have really struggled against the Browns over the last
And they
few
struggle
years.
early.
Yes. So this is not like a layup by any stretch of the imagination. Even if you think Cleveland is not a top-tier team in this division or in the conference at all, matchups, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, this is what we mean with Detroit and Kansas City. Just, it's a matchup issue for them for whatever reason. I don't know. Now, the other side of it is, what do the Browns really do well on defense? They can get after the quarterback. So, and the one thing that Cincinnati struggle with is
Burrow's a little
offensive line.
gimpy,
And Burrow's on the gimp a little bit with the calf muscle. So I think that's a real friggin' interesting game too, man. This is no layup. Where is that game?
Cleveland.
It's at Cleveland. Be careful, folks. Be careful.
Peter has already said this is the game of the week, or at least on Sunday, the Niners at the Steelers.
I mean, come on. If you like physical football, that's what you're going to get from this game.
Yep.
Oh, show. Like, seriously, this is going to be some physical football. Listen, if Kenny Pickett can play anywhere close to what he did in this preseason with George Pickens and all the Pittsburgh's going to be tough, dude. They're going to be real tough. This game has 2017
written all over it, one way or the other.
I agree totally. Yeah. Or something even weirder like 1917, you know, like some stupid shit. But I think that could be a real fun game this week. Wow. Really tough.
I wrote this one down because I think there's
and I just want to say, you also don't normally get these like monster matchups at the 1 o'clock start time. Usually they bump it to, make it to 4 o'clock. You get it at the 1 o'clock game. Like, how awesome is that? Right out of the box. Boom. Here we go. Love it.
And for people that don't have Red Zone, that's going to be on because Jets and Giants are playing primetime. So
you're right. Yep. Good call.
I wrote this one down because I feel like there's a lot going on here. Old-time rivalry game as well. Packers at Bears.
Damn it. I knew it. I knew you were going there. Yeah, because I had this one listed too. I definitely did.
Jordan Love makes his debut as a starter without Aaron Rodgers' shadow. I know he's filled in a couple times when he was hurt, but we've been killing Fields for 2 years. A hype train galore, too. I just did 3 fantasy drafts, and this guy flying off the board early. I don't get it.
I get it for fantasy. Oh, I get it for fantasy.
Yeah, running. Yeah.
Of course. The rushing and the rushing touchdowns? Oh, shit, yeah. I get it for fantasy.
But look at all these running quarterbacks, dude. They go down.
Well, they don't win games and they don't win Super Bowls. So I said this to you last week. We talked about this. I've seen nothing in this preseason that shows me that anything has changed as far as Justin Fields' ability to read defenses, make good choices, get off his first read, find his second read, and make that pass. I've seen nothing to indicate
I feel bad for DJ Moore. They're making this guy like a savior. He's a nice player.
Holy shit. I mean, Jesus, I didn't even know he was a top 5 receiver in the league. Now he's a legitimate number 1. Was he even a legitimate number 1 in Carolina?
No.
With quarterbacks who could throw the football?
Yeah, it was nuts.
Jesus Christ. This is bananas to me. I don't understand this at all. Now, what's fascinating, though, is Jordan Love has significantly fewer starts in the NFL than Justin Fields. So, now he certainly looked better in the preseason. Like, this is the same kind of line that I'll say with Kenny Pickett. Like, if he looks anything even close to what he did in the preseason, he looked smooth, under control, composed, showed leadership skills, showed decision-making, didn't throw interceptions, didn't make mistakes. I loved what I saw from Jordan Love in the preseason. So, I didn't bet this game, but I do like the Packers.
2 receivers banged up, 2 receivers a little gimpy.
That's the only thing that concerns me. They're both got hamstring pulls, and I'm like, well, just by the averages, one of them's probably going to be out, which is a problem.
Miami at
Hey, by the way, didn't they also draft a nice tight end? Did they draft a nice tight end in Green Bay?
Yeah, Luke Musgrove.
Oh, the kid from Oregon State or something. Like
Yeah.
that? Yeah. Okay, good.
Dolphins at Chargers.
I mean, huge early season game. The best part for the Chargers is that it's home for them. So Miami has to travel cross country to them, the time change and all that kind of stuff. This will be interesting because we'll get one of the Boses getting after Tua. It's just one of those situations with Tua where every time the guy gets sacked, we're all going to be, well, I'm not going to give a shit, but like most people are going to be holding their breaths wondering, is he even going to get up?
My one fantasy team would really be worried every time he gets sacked.
You drafted him?
Yeah.
Oh, you're mad.
I waited on a quarterback in one league, and I was like, all right, at this point, I just take a chance on him.
Now. Kind of stuck.
All right.
It's him or Dobbs from Arizona. So, yeah, I'm kind of stuck here. We've said this a million times. Chargers have one of the best rosters, at least on paper, but they need to actually show it. I think, you asked me, is there pressure on Shanahan? I think there's a shitload of pressure on Staley.
Yeah, so I agree.
Don't lose your first game of the season at home. Like, bro, they'll be calling for your head already.
Ooh, call on me. I got a question.
What's your question?
You know how we were saying like Lincoln Riley would love to stay in L.A.?
Jizz, so you would take that job. I think that job you're taking a second. Listen, what were we saying about Sean Payton? He made a mistake. He went for the wrong job.
Whoa.
What do you mean? You know it and I know it.
Let's take it easy.
You could either, if you could coach Denver or the Chargers right now, who would you coach?
I plead the fifth.
Next.
I tell you, dude, I like this fucking matchup so much. I'm gonna be with a bunch of Cowboy fans Sunday night. Cowboys at Giants.
Which side do you like?
Giants do not. Elaborate.
Well, you said I like this matchup.
No, I like them. I like that it's an NFC East
prime time game. I thought you were saying
remember, like from the NFL's perspective, I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember when Eli and Romo were going at it? It was always Sunday night. They opened up for like 4 years in a row.
Yes,
I like that this is back again now. The Giants showing some signs of life. That's what I mean by it. Like just old school football to me.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Giants.
Listen, it's one of the classic matchups. You mentioned that before with Green Bay and Chicago. This is certainly one of them as well.
Danny Jones got paid. Cowboys have a great defense. Dan Quinn turned down jobs again this day as a defense coordinator for the Cowboys. Kellen Moore out now at OC with the Cowboys. He's in L.A. Giants, Dable, everyone all summer. Dable this, Dable that. Wink. I don't know, man. This is a great game right out. And listen, you said this before, Browns, Bengals, a lot of pressure. Even more in this game.
Well, there certainly is for McCarthy. Is this game in Dallas?
No, Meadowlands.
There definitely is for McCarthy. Listen, he put this pressure on himself by either getting rid of or letting go of what the hell's his name? His offensive coordinator.
Kellen Moore?
Kellen Moore. He put this pressure on himself. So if they come out and they score 17 or something, 16, 17 points and lose this game, what scares me, because I think the Cowboys are going to be, I'm a little contrarian on this to a lot of other people. I think the Cowboys are going to be pretty good this year. I think they get second round of the playoffs, but then lose. But Cosell, wasn't it Greg Cosell? He was on the Herd today. He thinks there's going to be some really good things with Daniel Jones this year. He said Dable really held him back in the beginning of the season. We saw at the end they were starting to open it up. He can really sling it. He's got a really good arm. Makes pretty good decisions now. Chalk that up to Dable, whatever you want to say. He really expects a big leap. Now, from Daniel Jones. They have issues at wide receiver, man. Now, I know they got Waller now, but they got issues at wide receiver, so I got to see it before I believe it. But if there's anyone on TV that I trust that when he says something, I actually care what he says, it's Greg Cosell.
Yeah.
Because he's not trying to be interesting. He's not trying to be flashy. He's not looking for clicks. He just tells you what he sees.
No, he's
it's
good.
Fantastic.
He's got proof. He's got proof behind his points. So.
And he's friggin' right all the time too. So I'm just saying.
Well, that'll be fun. being around here and all this stuff with that, and then Rodgers. That'd be fun having that.
Is that the Sunday night game?
That's the Sunday night game.
Yep, absolutely.
And now we go to Monday night. Dun, dun, dun. The Buffalo Bills will circle the wagons at the New York Jets. And sir, you have the floor.
Let's try to be rational and unbiased here.
We're not that on this show. Come on.
I'm going to try for a minute, and then I'm going to lose my mind. There's two things working in the Jets' favor. Number one, it's at home. Your home opener with Aaron Rodgers and all the hoopla. I mean, there's excitement there, and there's motivation that comes with that. Number two, which is way more important than that, no Von Miller. So if you look at what Buffalo did at the end of the season last year without Von Miller, that was a very different team, folks. This was not the same team. Again, we'll go back to what we said earlier. Got to have the quarterback. You got to protect the quarterback. You got to get after the quarterback. And that's what they brought in Von Miller for. And they're just not the same pass rushing team that they were with him. Also, their defense coordinator, Frazier.
Yes, Leslie Frazier. Yeah.
Leslie Frazier's not there.
He took a year
anymore.
off. He took a year off, yeah.
He's not there anymore. So now, what's his face is calling the defensive plays on his own. Your head coach. So now he's preoccupied, where he's not looking over the whole team. I think it's a very good opportunity for the Jets because of the timing. Now, the only thing I'll say it's not great timing for the Jets is that Buffalo's still a very good team, and this is the first real game that you're having Aaron Rodgers play with all these players. So, but kind of along the lines of what we saw with Tom Brady, it's not a rookie out of college. It's Aaron freaking Rodgers. So I don't know how big a deal that's going to be. And I genuinely don't. I mean, I don't mean like I don't know. I mean, like I genuinely don't, because there's something to it, but there's also something to these guys have been around for so long. We saw it with Peyton Manning. He was immediately good with Denver. There was no waiting period. Tom Brady was immediately good. Matthew Stafford was immediately good. When you got these quarterbacks that have been in the league have been successful in the league for over 10 years, and then they come to a new team, there's not much waiting period there.
With all that said, Bills 34, Jets 13.
Wow, you are really not a good person. You're really not a good person. Starting next week, this will be the Pete Colasano podcast.
Oh, alrighty.
It'll be a lot of fun. I'll tell you this. Again, I just want to reiterate, I am looking for the Jets to make the playoffs. I think they make the playoffs, it's a successful season. Anybody that thinks they have to do more than that is just, you're not even being realistic, number one, and you're just not looking at the landscape. The AFC is tough.
Yep.
It's really tough. There's 10 teams that should probably make the playoffs, but there's only 7 spots. Or 8, whatever it is, 8 spots, right?
7.
So somebody really good, and actually more than one really good team is going to be out. Now, I don't know if that's the Jets or Miami or the Chargers or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh. I don't know who it is, but somebody's going to be really disappointed because there's a lot of really good teams in the AFC.
You want to bet?
Oh, I got some freaking monster winners this week, man. I feel it. I mean, when I say I feel it, it's in my bones. Let's start with college.
Peter was 1-1 last week. I was 2-0. That Fresno State game, bro.
Ooh, good call.
Woo! Went out right.
Filthy.
College football, I'm going back to the Big Ten. I'm going against the team Fresno State won last week. Fresno went to West Lafayette and beat Purdue outright. This week, I'm taking Purdue +3 at Virginia Tech, because you know what this smells like? Fish.
Fishy.
Why would Purdue be only 3-point dogs on the road after losing at home to a FBS, FCS, whatever the second one is, FBS?
They're FBS, but they're non-top 5.
Not Power 5. That's what I meant.
What did Virginia Tech do last week?
They won,
right?
But they're not great.
Obviously.
Give me Purdue, second.
I love it.
Coach, second game under his belt. Hudson Card, second game now. Like you said, week 1 and week 2 adjustment. You got away from home, which I think is huge. You got away.
Maybe good.
You got all the ears and the booze and everything out. Purdue, +3 in Blacksburg.
Listen, if there's anything you can take away from this podcast, is that I never learned my lesson. One of my losers last week was TCU minus 20.5 over Colorado. Colorado ends up winning the damn game outright, which is one of the biggest goddamn upsets of the week last week. I don't learn my lesson. Give me Nebraska plus the 3 against Colorado. Here's why. I mentioned when we did our college football review from last week, if there's anything that Nebraska did really good last week, it was play defense. And it was kind of a stifling defense. Minnesota usually, if there's anything Minnesota can always do, it's run the football. They play physical, run football. They were losing that game most of the game. It was 10-3 Nebraska at one point. It probably could have been more and should have been more if they didn't turn the ball over so much. Colorado doesn't play any fucking defense. They play no defense. I think Nebraska goes down there, probably gives up 17 points, and wins this game 23-17 Nebraska. Matt Rule gets his first win.
So I didn't learn anything either because I have Nebraska plus 3 at Colorado.
That's your second game? A couple of dummies. What's your reason? Same reason or?
Same reason. I just think Colorado off that friggin' hype all week long. Now they're favored.
Yeah.
People are saying that they don't know about their offensive line. They don't know how Shadour's going to do against it. And now they're favored? No, thanks. Give me Nebraska.
I'm with you on that. So my second game, I told you before, I smelled a trap. This game smelled a little fishy. So you know what the funny thing is? I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan. I like Lane Kiffin. I think he's entertaining. I think he's good for college football. I think he's a really good recruiter, and I think he's a really good offensive coach also. But I just feel like this is a trap game. I think this is an awful, awful spot. Plus, I love the number, 7.5. Tulane at home. This is the biggest game of their year. They know if they win this game, they can probably run the table and make an argument for a playoff spot, just like Cincinnati did 2 years ago. Give me Tulane plus 7.5. I love the hook. Give me Tulane plus the 7.5 over Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss probably wins the game. Maybe 31-27, something like that. 35-31.
How the hell they get Ole Miss to come to Tulane?
I don't know. Did they play each other last year? Because maybe they set up a home and home.
Yeah, but even
maybe they set up some kind of home and home. Because that's what Utah and Florida did that, right? They set up a home and home.
Yeah, but those are two like legit school, like Tulane. I know Tulane won the Sugar Bowl last year or whatever, or just lost. I don't know what they did.
They had to pay to come and play at Tulane. I'm not kidding. They might have had to pay a couple $100,000 to come play them, and they might lose. I mean, Ole Miss.
Been there. NFL.
Let's do it.
We talked about this game before. The Battle of Ohio.
I'm on this one.
I am totally with you with the Bengals O-line. They don't start great, and Burrow's a little gimpy. Cleveland's got a lot to prove out of the gate. Stefanski's got a lot to prove out of the gate. This is a big year for Stefanski.
He does.
Watson goes without saying what he's got to prove. They got one of the best running backs in football, one of the best O-lines in football. Use it. Cincinnati's got a new secondary they're breaking in, basically 3 out of 4 guys. Give me the Browns plus 2.5 at home against the Bengals.
Ditto. I got the Browns plus 2.5. Again, sometimes there's just matchup issues for whatever friggin' reason we can't figure out. Why does certain teams give up? Why can't Shanahan beat McVay? Although he probably will this year. Why can't Cincinnati handle the Browns? I have no friggin' idea. I don't have to know. I just know that that's the way it is. So and I agree with you. Is Deshaun Watson ever going to be what he was? If he is, he needs to show it this week. This is the first time he's had a full camp in almost 3 years, 2.5 years that he's had a full camp. You remember, he sat out with Houston. So he didn't even, before he got traded, before his troubles, he didn't even play with Houston. So because he was sitting out because he didn't want to be there anymore. So he has a lot to prove. I think Stefanski is one of those guys that's kind of on a hot seat. If they miss the playoffs or if they're in last place this year, there's a chance he could be gone. And I think he's a good coach, but you got to win in this league. So yeah, give me the Browns plus the 2.5. I wish it was 3, but give me the 2.5. Maybe you buy it up to 3 if you want.
Last one for me of the weekend. This line looks shady to me, but I don't care. because we talked about this team being pretty bad.
Oh my God, I think we're in the same game.
Super
again.
Bowl runner-up.
No, we're not.
Super Bowl runner-up. Philadelphia Eagles go to Foxborough and play the New England Patriots. They are
It is a fishy line.
They are 4-point favorites. I don't know if Vegas is thinking new coordinators, Jalen Hurts maybe a little rusty, new running game. I don't know. I know Philly's fucking talented, and I know New England's not, at least offensively. Very good defensively, very good defensive coaching staff, head coach, obviously, with Bill. It could start off a little sloppy, a little bumpy, but I think Philly figures it out. I'm not saying it's going to be the greatest show on turf kind of game, but I think Philly probably, let's say 27-17, something like that. They cover late and they win.
What are they, -4?
-4, yes, sir.
I think that could be a tough spot for them. They lost a lot of players, man. They did lose a bunch of players. And you know Bill's going to have that defense playing well. But I just
Mac
don't know how
Jones
good
is
that
still the
offense
quarterback of
That's
New
what
England.
I'm saying. I just don't know how good that offense is. And, yeah, I'm not sold on Mac Jones. So I'm going to take it out west. We covered the NFC West this week, and that's where my pick is going. You had asked me, would I be shocked if Seattle wins the division? And I said, no, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think they will, but it wouldn't be shocked. I think the Rams are one of the worst teams in the league. No Cooper Kupp. And Seattle's only favored by 5.5. Now, you could say that's a fishy line, but I love Seattle. I think Seattle wins by at least a touchdown. So
what's the number, 5.5? What do you got?
5.5.
Yeah.
Seattle -5.5. I kind of like that one a lot. Seattle -5.5 over the Rams.
So in review, I got Purdue +3, Nebraska +3, Cleveland Browns +2.5, and the Eagles -4.
I have Nebraska also. I have Tulane +7.5 against Ole Miss. I don't expect them to win, but I love the 7.5, and
I would love if they won that game, though. Wouldn't you?
Well, listen, I always root
you
for chaos.
You like Lane too.
I like Kiffin, but I always root for chaos. So if that would happen, that'd be great. Because I love at the end of the season, if they were to then run the table, I love making the argument that they should be in the playoffs. So I love that shit. I also had the Browns, and then I went out west for Seattle -5.5 against the Rams. By the way, my bonus pick, if you were listening early enough, if you get this early enough, I really love Detroit tonight. Depending on where you get their spread, it's 4.5, 5, 5.5, somewhere in that range. 2 of the 3 best players for Kansas City are not on the field. I love Mahomes. To me, it's him, and then there's everybody else as far as quarterbacks. The fucker can't do everything. So I think it's just a bad matchup. That Detroit running game against no Chris Jones, I think they can hold the ball for a long time. So I like Detroit tonight also. Who do you like in that game? You didn't really tell me who you like in that game. See, I know it's hard to go against Mahomes. It's really hard to go against Mahomes.
I've seen Mahomes embarrass the Broncos for years now. And there's games.
The other thing, I don't know how much I trust Dan Campbell against Andy Reid.
Well, that's another thing too. And there's games
I've seen against a bad running defense.
The Broncos have had games won against him. And they just pulled shit out of his hat.
I know.
I understand where you're coming from, totally, dude, and I really, really want to get behind it. But if I pick that game, I think it would just because I'm rooting for the Lions, and I'm for more ways than one.
Yeah.
And again, so I don't know. I don't really have a strong feel on it. Dude, when this game came out in the beginning of the year, I'm like, oh, dude, everyone's going to take the Lions because of the fucking hype train. I'm going to take the Chiefs. They're going to win by fucking 20. But now with all this shit going on,
if Jones and Kelce were there, I would have taken Kansas City, for the same reason you said. Everybody's on Detroit. I'm going the other way.
But I think you just said bad spot, like weird.
Bad spot. Yeah, bad timing.
I get it.
In fact, I don't even know if I would have mentioned it if Kelce wasn't banged up.
Sure.
I probably would have just left it alone, or I just would have told you, hey, I like it. But for me, it's actually like a bonus pick.
Yeah. Let me write that down. Bonus pick.
Too much. Yeah. Too much missing in the wrong places. That's all. Is it time?
It's time. It's time.
That's part of the show. Here we go. Scotty's trivia. Let's do it.
All righty.
I just want you to know I was studying everything this week, so I'm ready.
All right, I got 3 field hockey questions for you. Ready?
Excellent. That just happens to be what I was studying.
All right.
Men's field hockey, right? No.
I got 3. You can't say that now, Pete.
No.
You can't, yeah.
You're right.
What's
birthing people's
fucking world we live in?
Field hockey.
What school features burial grounds on stadium premises?
Oh my God.
Vanderbilt, Georgia, Missouri, Cal.
Holy shit! The one school I was thinking of, you didn't even mention them.
What, Air Force or something?
Florida State. What were my choices?
Vanderbilt, Georgia, Missouri, Cal, Berkeley.
I'm going to go with Missouri.
You would be wrong. It would be the Georgia Bulldogs.
No shit.
They have a marble mausoleum for all the Uga mascots that passed away, the Blue Bulldog guys. So
Okay.
crazy, right?
Yeah, sure.
You say salty already. Salty with 2 to go.
Got to get that first one, man.
We love mascots, right?
Of course.
What mascot is the most commonly used? Bulldog, tiger, wildcat, husky.
Oh. So
We
my
think they give
initial,
this. We think they give this job to chimps. Come on, go.
my initial instinct is to say tiger. So it was a bulldog, tiger,
Wildcat, husky.
All right, so see, here's what you do, you son of a bitch. It was the answer. Yeah, the answer was just Georgia, and they're the Bulldogs. And I'm thinking he's not going to give me Bulldogs 2 answers in a row. And the last time I thought that is exactly what you did. You made it Svensson twice in a row.
You know what? You're overthinking the room because I ain't even thinking about that for a second.
Tigers.
It is the Bulldog.
Son of a! I hate you. I hate you. I'm never doing trivia again. I hate you.
All right, you got to get this one.
Go ahead.
What were Penn State's original colors? Blue and purple, blue and white, pink and black, red and blue.
Not pink and black. Red and blue? All right, so let's take pink and black out. Red and blue, blue and white, which is what they are.
And blue and purple.
I mean, I'm going to say that they have their original uni. So I'm going to go blue and white. Blue and red.
It's the one you took right off the board. It's pink and black.
Really?
Yep.
That's hot.
Pink and black.
The Penn State Nittany Lions.
Is that fucking crazy? I wouldn't have thought that either.
Wow.
I thought
when the hell was that?
Because they said it on the broadcast the other night.
I wasn't listening.
Wow.
How far back was that?
1897.
Dude, wow. That's some.
And they went
the one I take off the board.
It's so funny.
Stupid, man. Fucking Bulldogs, man.
All right, next week we'll go to NFL. That's more your speed.
Are you sure about that? You've already decided?
What, NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fair. I appreciate that. I'll probably get them all wrong.
I beat you up.
I've been on a bad streak.
I just love you're like in your own head, and then you eliminate it, and then it's like.
It's just the worst because more often than not, the one that I eliminate is the one that it is. Twice today.
Yep.
Asshole. 113 in the books. Son of a bitch. No more trivia.
Liar.
For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Everybody enjoy NFL and college. Buckle up for months to go. Later.
Boom. All right.
Yeah, tell Mike I said hi. Enjoy that tonight.
We'll do. No way you can jump on?
I'm gonna be at Mikey's house watching the game and shit. So I told him I'd go up there for see the game. So
yeah, he reached out and I was like, yeah, of course. I think
that was nice. Yeah.
Hooking us up a little, so
no doubt.
Cool. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, man. Let me know.
I should have this
send
now.
It to me or something. Whatever if you
send it to you. We'll do.
All right, man.
Well, he records it. I don't record it. So when he sends it to me, I'll send it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, whenever
he puts it out, I'll send it to you. Okay, cool. All right, man. I'll have this out later tonight.
All right, bro. Sounds good.
Bye.
Later.